Hello my lovelies, welcome to my little cottage by the sea, the place where I love to stitch and craft my way to a vintage inspired and sustainable lifestyle. In today's video I'm going to be sharing my top 5 most sewn and most worn commercial sewing patterns. I've recently done a wardrobe audit of my wardrobe and it became very apparent to me that there are certain things that I love to sew and especially love to wear, and I seem to sew them over and over again and wear them all the time. So I thought that I would share those 5 patterns with you. If you spend time with me here in my little cottage by the sea, you will know that I do draft a lot of my own sewing patterns, and it's very rare that I will buy a sewing pattern, especially these days whilst I'm doing so much pattern cutting for my Patreon and teaching in real life. So the patterns that I have bought from commercial and independent designers that seem to keep cropping up in my must make list and my need to sew list are ones that I thought were worthwhile sharing in case you haven't sewn them or you would like to. The first most worn, most loved pattern are these trousers, a little bit wrinkly, they've just got out the wash and need a press, are the Gertie of Charm Patterns Lucille trousers, which were a Patreon project. I must admit that I have to wear these at least twice a week, 3 times a week. I absolutely love them. They're just made out of a cotton twill and they are actually getting a little bit faded. But if you are thinking cost per wear, these are in the 0 pennies right about now. I have also made them in a sort of vintagey pink twill, which I haven't worn as much, and maybe it's because I feel more comfortable with darker colours on my bottom half, but really love these. I made a slight amendment from the pattern as I think the pleat is meant to go that way, but I find that with my tummyliciousness the pleat going this way sort of does a quite good job of making me feel more comfortable in these trousers. They're an absolute winner chicken dinner. I love them, and I'm actually looking for a really nice wool blend maybe to make up another pair to replace these. They look amazing dressed up and glam, sort of Hedy Lamarr 1940s style, and they look fab in a t-shirt sort of with trainers, so they're just an absolute brilliant pair of trousers. I just sewed them up, I can't remember the size, but they fitted me almost perfectly out of the packet, so to speak, even though I had to download them. My next most sewn, most worn is the Nina Lee Bloomsbury blouse. It's a fab little pattern. I think again I cut it out in a size 16 and it fitted me. It's really enjoyable sew and looks really fab in a Liberty fabric, which this one is. It's got the high collar and the ruffle, so it sort of feels like that Edwardiana style. Looks fabulous with the Gertie trousers, and it's got little ruffles around here, and then it does up to here with little covered buttons. You can use whatever buttons, and then it's sort of open there but closes at the back neck, so it's got lots of interesting little details. I really love making it out of a Liberty lawn. I've actually got one here all cut out ready to sew, but I cut that out forever ago and just haven't got round to sewing it yet. I don't know why. I also made it in this lovely black dark floral, a fabric that I bought from Missy Mop. These are all makes from a very long time ago, and it's got these mother of pearl buttons on the back, but absolutely love this blouse. And then I did a little hack of it into a mini dress. This is a Liberty poplin that I bought at Goldhawk Road, and all I did was I just put a zip in the back and lengthened it somewhat with a frill on the bottom to get a sort of mini dress, although I don't actually wear mini dresses particularly these days, but this one is a real sort of treasure of mine, and I love the fabric and really love that sort of Edwardian 60s-ish mod type look that you can achieve with this one. My next most sewn, most loved, most worn is a little bit of a cheat, so you'll have to indulge me. I'm imagining that we all have access to a time machine and can whiz back to the late 30s into the 40s and go to a department store and pick up the Hollywood Patterns sewing pattern book and order a pattern. And this one, which I call the 1940s bondage dress, actually I think it's one of my all-time favourite makes. There is a video for this which I'll pop up. So I originally made it in this pink challis, viscose challis from Rainbow Fabrics Kilburn. It's got these sort of straps here and ties on the puff sleeves, and it's got an interesting shaped yoke detail going on and an A-line skirt, and I put ties on this one. And then I also remade it very recently in this really lovely vintage fabric that a friend of mine popped through the door as a little gift, which is very sweet. I didn't have quite enough to put the ties on, but absolutely love this one too, and I'm about to cut one out in black because really I would like to have everything in black, but I seem to have a lot of colour, and all my most worn on the whole are a pattern of some kind. I don't really seem to do solids very much, but really love this. And it's got vintage 1920s lace, machine lace crochet trim around it. Both of these, whenever I put them on, they make me feel wonderful. That is basically what we want from our handmade, thrifted, vintage inspired wardrobes, or any kind of style that we happen to be wearing. We want to feel fantabulous in what we're putting on. My next most worn, most sewn, and actually this one is my most sewn, and it will come as no surprise to you, I'm sure, is this Simplicity one, the 8447. And I actually made about 3 pairs of the trousers to go with this. One a pair in denim, which just sort of fell apart, I wore them so much. One in black cord, which I gifted to my lovely friend Georgina, who takes lots of my photographs. And then there was another sort of very dark blue, but I can't find that. I seem to remember I made a whole suit to go with that, but don't know where those have gone now. But this is one of my most used patterns, and it's particularly for the blouse. So I made the first version out of this Liberty lawn with all knitting things on it, out of the packet exactly as it is, and it has this, the original has this sort of split thing here, and I have heavily tweaked and hacked this pattern for the following versions of it, and I've actually got a few more that I just couldn't find to show you today. I have this one in a Liberty lawn, so I basically changed the back here and did like a little gather, but you could do a pleat. The rest of it is as is. I didn't fiddle with the sizing as such. And then I did this 1930s puff sleeve. There is a video, so I'll add the card. So that was one out of a Liberty print that I did, which I really loved. And then I used that top of the pattern, the blouse pattern, and turned it into a shirt dress, and I'm wearing a version of it now out of this lovely linen that I got from Jacob's Haberdashery, and I put my 1930 sleeve because I do love a sleeve, and it's just got a like an A-line skirt. I call it the 1939 shirt dress. Here's a version, I think there's a video for this as well, I'll pop that up, with these lovely little hearts. And I was very much thinking of Yves Saint Laurent, the 1971 collection that he did, Le Scandale it became called, because he did all these sort of 40s tea dresses at a time when it was very unfashionable. And I've got these Repro vintage red buttons, not quite the perfect red for the little hearts, but hey ho. It's got a side zip and then these buttons. I think I just sewed the buttons on. I didn't even do buttonholes on this. It's just a bit lazy of me, a bit naughty. And my favourite version of this is this one out of this beautiful vintage 30s fabric that I found in a charity shop. It's absolutely sublime. I love this. And also these lovely little arsenic green buttons, which are also vintage. And I have worn and worn this to the point where I'm a bit worried the fabric might start to disintegrate, and I am just about to pattern cut another one in a really lovely ivory wool from, I think, probably the 40s. It's another vintage fabric, and I'm going to be making that with huge humongous sleeves, and I might do the collars and some rather elaborate cuffs out of some bits of bridal satin that I have lying around, kind of going for that Celia Burtwell, Aussie Clark type Bieber version of a 30s 40s dress. But these are just put them on, wear them all the time, and I probably need one in black as well. But I do recommend this pattern. You get a lot of bang for your buck. I'm always mentioning it. It always seems to make it into all my capsule collection videos and so on, but it's a really, really good one, and you can do a lot with it. And last but by no means least, I think this probably has to be my absolute favourite pattern that I have ever sewn. I love this one, and it is the Liberty of London Bella tea dress, and I've made quite a few of them. The very first one I made was this here, which reminded me of a sort of a Poirot character, somebody who'd probably dastardly murdered by some kind of poison. Strychnine would be my preference. This dress, it's a really lovely viscose from Missy Mop Fabrics, and it has the little Peter Pan collar. You can actually do a version without the collar and with pockets and all sorts, but lovely little puff sleeve. It's got a side zip. I know some people don't really like side zips. There seems to be loads of planes flying over, so do excuse. Can't do much about those. A-line, love it. I made this straight out of the packet. Whenever I put this on, I feel amazing. So then I made another one, and I've got them all in a muddle on my lap here. Hold on one moment, bear with me. Then I made this version out of my favourite Liberty print, which I don't think you can get anymore. It's called Honeymoon, and it's got little sweet peas and teeny tiny little spider cobwebs on it. And I do love this. It's the Liberty Lawn, but the one thing I would say about this is it just doesn't have quite enough movement. It just isn't as flowy, and I think you do want to go for a drapey one, but I just love, love, love this dress. Then I made this version out of a jacquard, a lovely pink jacquard, and I played around with the sleeves. The one reason that I haven't really worn this one as much is the sleeves here. So they've got this like 30s sort of point, and these rouleau fastenings is actually, it's a bit tight. I've got really big elbows. I don't know why I've got big elbows. So the dress isn't that comfortable to wear. So I think I'm going to just cut the sleeve and turn them into a short sleeve so that I can wear this really pretty fabric. And this has got the right amount of drape, and it's got like a lovely sort of texture, sort of, it's not leopardy print, but it kind of looks a bit leopardy print. But I'm very disappointed I haven't been able to wear this dress, but that is going to be rectified. And then I made a summery version out of this vintage fabric. So this is from the 30s, this fabric. Again, I found it in a charity shop, and I put these flutter sleeves and put a little tie here on the Peter Pan collar. I've never done this one without the collar. For me, I love a Peter Pan collar, so I think that's why. For whatever reason, because of this fabric, it's just feels a little bit tight on me, but really beautiful and cool, that lovely cold rayon that you used to get. And then my last version of this at the moment is this another fabric from Missy Mop, really beautiful viscose with all these flowers, and it's just got a little hook and eye at the top. I did try putting a button on these and it didn't work so well, but we've got the same sleeves and side zip, and this one is just really beautiful because it's a very heavy viscose, and I think if you're trying to replicate that vintage look, vintage fabrics, go for a fabric that's really either very, very gauzy and floaty or very heavy and crepey and floaty. And this is my final version of the Bella tea dress, which is, I think, probably my most loved, most sewn and most worn pattern as it is out of the packet. As I've been talking through my most sewn, worn and loved wardrobe treasures, it strikes me that actually this lot together make quite a good capsule collection. Just add a jacket maybe or a coat for the colder months of the year and you've got every single garment you could possibly need. Thank you so much for spending time with me today in my little cottage by the sea while I share my most sewn, worn and loved wardrobe items. I hope that you've enjoyed this and it's given you a few little ideas, and if you haven't tried any of these patterns, I mean, one of them you will need to get yourself a time machine and you will need to go back to the 1930s, but I'm sure that's doable. I hope that you do give some of them a go, the ones that you can get a hold of, that is, because they are really, really wearable, and I think that's a testament to a successful sew. It's one that you end up wearing time and time again, and even if there aren't that many variations in the packet, with simple tweaks and little hacks you can actually extend that pattern and create loads and loads of versions of them. I'm off to look at jacket patterns that I could add in and wear with these and hopefully make that a most sewn, loved and worn item in my handmade and vintage inspired wardrobe. I hope that wherever you are, my lovelies, you're keeping very safe and well. Till next time, bye.